your host, Deb St.Hilaire.
Super loud.
On air, she says it's super loud. I like that about Virginia. So here we are at the Divalution. Thanks for clinking with me. And you know what? We are in shortage of regular divas, but not regular divas.
We are all here when we're here.
That's right. How is it now, Virginia?
Mike's too
It's okay.
All right.
Oh, it was a little loud. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Too bad we can't do a sound check before, but
Yeah.
we're on air, so we can't.
No, we
There's
can't.
a show right before us. So welcome to the Divalution. We have Diva Dude Nate manning the recording this evening. Thank you, Nate, so very much.
No problem. Awesome to be here.
And that was good.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
we have Juliana Tacey here in our sponsor spotlight.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have, of course, our special guest, Virginia Parker. Thank you very much for coming.
Oh, my pleasure.
I was really hoping that the weather would prevail and stay nice because this morning it was snowing
Yes, it was.
and it scared me a little bit. But here we are. So today is our friend Linda's birthday,
Ooh.
and we thought it was also National Hugging Day.
Which is not a bad day at all to celebrate all the time.
But it's not, it's tomorrow.
Oh.
So you can start tomorrow and hug the rest of the month.
Or we could start at midnight and go on.
That's true. That's true. So happy birthday to our dear friend Linda. We love you. Thank you. You're welcome. She's here. This is how she's celebrating her birthday. How special is that?
Yeah.
We're special.
I like having her around.
Yes, me too. She's fun. So our theme this month, last month, it was preparing for change. And we talked a lot about how to just get ready to make changes that you need to make in your life. And some are painful.
Yes.
And you have to really psychologically get ready for them as well as oftentimes physical. And last week we had our Zumba teacher, Amy, and our mixed martial arts.
That was Charlie Cousins.
Right.
Yeah.
Steve just said he lost us.
Okay.
Maybe he's looking in the wrong spot, huh?
Tell him to keep looking.
Let me look here. Mixed martial arts guy, Charlie Cousins, and that was two totally different points of view.
Yeah.
So everything's working. So, and that was really interesting, I thought. And one of the things that I got out from them was if you go to a gym or you're signed up for a gym or you're signed up for Zumba classes or whatever, this Charlie said this, they can't help you unless you're there.
So even if you're just going to think you're going to be there for a couple of minutes, go, show up, be there.
That's the whole thing, show
But,
up.
if you're there, be there,
Right.
Yeah.
And let them
Yeah.
help you.
Right.
They're the experts. And the other thing that I really liked was life is a progression. And if you're not progressing towards something, then you get bored and give up. And
Yeah.
that's the end. So those were two really, and those really don't have that much to do with physical change. But I thought they were very good comments.
I kind of think they do go together a little
Yeah,
bit.
they do. But, I mean, they can be applied to
Just about anything.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
liked it. So, and they were good
Yeah.
together because we saw two totally different sides.
Yep.
Today is not about physical health. It's about getting uncomfortable. And we're going to roll writing your memoirs in with that because that's Virginia's expertise. And it's also something that's very uncomfortable to people, right?
Right. Excuse me. A lot of people have difficulty getting started writing. They're intimidated by the process. They're uncomfortable about their abilities to write, and so they don't start. So we're going to talk about how to break through that barrier and start writing.
To get unstuck, and that has
Yeah.
to do with getting uncomfortable and
Right,
and coming out of your comfort zone and being uncomfortable because that's how you grow. Steve says there's no sound.
That's kind of unusual.
It wasn't me.
Was it over here?
Here, I'm going to listen on our...
Okay. Keep looking.
All right.
Okay. Was there something that you found that was really hard for you to look at when you were doing your writing?
I think people kind of freeze up when they sit in front of the computer, and even the really experienced writers every now and then have writer's block. And you look at the blank computer and think, oh, I don't feel creative today. And there's a sense of pressure. I need to produce something, and it needs to be good.
Do you always feel like it needs to be good? Because a lot of the times the stuff that you write, it's not good. It feels like crap,
Right.
But as long as it's on the paper, you get a chance to look at it, maybe have somebody else look at it and give another opinion to it, that kind of thing.
Right, and that's really where people need to start. They need to just literally start and write first, edit later. It doesn't have to be perfect. It won't be perfect, and if you expect it to be perfect that first draft, it's not going to happen.
Well, how much do you write before you go back to edit it?
You should let a little time go in between the writing and the editing. Now, that may be a day, it may be a couple of weeks, and you're going to keep changing it and revising it, because when you write and you go back and you look at it and you kind of finesse it, every time you improve it, new things kind of bubble to the surface that you hadn't seen before.
Okay.
And that's why you go through several revisions to
And
get it just right. And you begin reorganizing the book, too. A book is organic. We talked about that last time. It's going to let you know what it needs to be. And so you'll start moving things around and changing your focus. And as you get other people to read what you've written, at various points, you have to have trusted readers.
And that's hard to let go.
Yeah, But it's all part of the process, because you'll begin to see where you actually have communicated well. Because a reader will say to you, I don't understand this.
Well, it's really easy to put things down on paper when you have to just, da-da-da-da-da, and you know what those da-das mean in your head. It's just hard to make other people know what those da-das mean.
That's an excellent point. And it's something I talk with writers about all the time. Everything is clear in your mind because it's been in there for so long, and you have all these backstories, and you know all the gaps and how they're filled
fit in.
But the reader doesn't. And so that's part of the process of revising it, figuring out how to communicate the necessary parts to the reader. Not everything, but enough that it brings them along. It gives them that context.
Oh.
You have to pretend like they're going to make a movie out of it. So before the show started, we were talking a little bit about how hard it is to start new things, and memoirs are just one of them. I have a friend that and it's so silly sometimes how hard it is. You talked about getting stuck. I have a friend that's a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and she went to write her make her Facebook business page, and she wouldn't activate it. It was just sitting there, and she couldn't push that button for it to go live. And her friends were making fun of her. You've fought. You've heard bombs go off behind you. You've jumped out of helicopters, and you can't. I mean, when you put it in that kind of perspective, it's so funny, the things that scare us.
Yeah, but putting ourselves out there, that's pretty much what we're doing.
That's it. Yep.
It's being naked to the world and letting them see what the seedy side of us is.
Right, and that's very hard. Your job is to help people do that, and you're a book coach and a president of Envision Associates. And you coach corporate executives, consultants, entrepreneurs, and all kinds of people that want to write books.
Right.
So you're not just coming from Mary down the street that wants to leave a legacy for her grandchildren. You're also coming from corporate America.
Right.
So how do you handle those two people differently?
Well, there's a great similarity, actually, because in both of the cases that you're talking about, somebody has a story that is important to tell. There's value. And the first thing that I work with an author to do is to figure out what their goals are. And it's just as important to leave the family legacy. So I have worked with people who wanted to write their family story. And all the decisions that flow from that are about what I put in the book. Who am I writing for? How am I going to tell a story? How am I going to publish it? For the corporate executive or the coach, they're going to be looking at who their audience is and what are the messages that they want. In that case, usually there is a particular pain that they are addressing. If it's, say, an entrepreneur who's been very successful in a business or several businesses, and he's writing for the person who wants to start a business, he's going to kind of lead them through all of the things that frighten them about starting a business. What are the pitfalls? What are you feeling fearful about? What's holding you back? Here are the resources that you have. These are the steps you need to take, and so on, so that they're providing solutions for the pain that their audience has. So it all starts out with the goals.
And yet so different.
Right. It all starts out with the goals and the audience.
So if I were writing my memoirs, what would be the difference between my memoirs and an autobiography?
Oh, that's a great question. An autobiography really covers an entire life, and it tends to be more formal. You may have a lot more research that goes into it. A memoir is much shorter. It covers a specific time period or an event or episode in your life. So there's a clear beginning and an end. And it also reflects your perspectives of the experience, both at the time as you remember how you experienced it and felt about it, and then perhaps looking back, what is different now about your perspective.
So a good example would be your travels in Europe.
Yeah,
That would be a good memoir.
And you may write several in your lifetime because you have different episodes, different parts of your life.
Well, that's a good point, because your life is not over yet. You don't want
That's
to
right.
have a complete ending to an
That's right.
autobiography. It's
right.
not possible.
That's
It's
right.
over when it's over. though.
That's right. It's over. Yeah.
Well, Linda was talking about her family history and that she and her sister want to write about those unique experiences.
And they are very
so,
unique.
you see, you've got 2 memoirs already.
There you go.
So what about, say, you and I go to Florence, Italy, and I want to write a book about my memoirs in Florence, Italy, and you're there, so you're going to be in there. Do I have to ask your permission, or can I name you some other name that you're not going to know?
Yeah.
You'll know it.
Change
you,
the
but other
names.
people-
Yeah.
Oh, well, you have to be careful about that because identities can still be evident, and there have been court cases where information was changed, except that people knew exactly who was being discussed. There are different opinions about whether you need permission or not, and if you read books on how to write memoirs, you'll see differing opinions. Some writers, some memoirists say, it's your story, you tell it, and other people can write their memoir. But you have to be careful because there are laws governing even the right to privacy. Even if you're telling something truthful, it may not necessarily be a story that should be told. It may invade somebody's privacy, particularly if they're a private person. So here's the thing. You have to be aware that there are laws governing libel and rights to privacy. You can go to copyright.gov, and there's information that will be helpful. You can also talk to an IT attorney. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not giving legal advice, but you can go and run some of your stories past them if you have concerns. There's also, in addition to the legal issues, the ethical ones.
Do you write something knowing that the other person's children may be alive and still read it or something?
Or that person, even, yes. So you may have consequences even if it's truthful. And you have to weigh whether it's something you know.
This is very poignant for me because, and I'm glad that we're talking about it because, I've had